Welcome to the All Jammed Up podcast, presented to you by Music Never Stopped. Today is Thursday, March 27th, and today's guest is local deadhead Stephen Miller.
What are you doing, podcast for Lot?
Yeah.
Come be on a Lot podcast.
Yeah, hell yeah, All Jammed Up.
This dude's doing a podcast. If you want to be on some podcast, come give an interview.
Hell yeah.
All
Good morning, fools. Welcome to the All Jammed Up podcast. I'm your host, Clint Dotson, and today's episode we have Stephen Miller. Stephen is one of the first people that I met here in the Asheville Grateful Dead music scene, whatever you want to call it, and it's always been like a light to any room that I've always been to, and just a really cool guy and someone I wanted to interview right when I started the podcast, and luckily we were finally able to find a time. And it's kind of a deeper, at times a heavier interview. There is talk about like religious trauma and drugs too. So just to forewarn everybody, but I think it's a really special interview. I typically try to do my longer interviews on Mondays, but just because scheduling conflicts, I had to release this one on Thursday. So it is a longer interview, but buckle up. It's a good one. Without any further ado, though, my good friend, Stephen.
Hey, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay
everyone?
calm.
What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
We're live.
And we're live. Let's start with a little plug for Rowan Coffee. Chloe just made me a beautiful cup of cappuccino, and it has some psychedelic accidental foam art. My daughter Jaden just got a job at Rowan, and she's been social media, like Instagram friends with these folks for a long time. So when she first walked in there, they knew each other through social media, which is, I think that's a fascinating part of the new world. Yeah. You know, where we can have a million, I had like 15 conversations going on yesterday with friends while I'm also talking with my family. It can get unhealthy, but but I don't do it that much. I'm still just amazed by it.
You want to hear a funny story? We went to that Rowan Coffee place kind of when we first moved here, and there was a guy that gave us our coffee that Chloe went to like elementary school with in Florida.
He's not the owner though, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's a younger guy, maybe 28.
How interesting. Maybe
He, like,
they
looked
should
at
call
her.
it serendipity coffee.
He looked at her and he was like, "Is your name Chloe?" And she was like, "Yeah, it is." And then he had to tell her who she was. And I was just like there like, "Cool, can I have my coffee?"
Oh, it's the coolest thing.
Florida elementary school.
From elementary school. Now, did you have the phenomena of seeing this thing? I love how this happens. See someone's face that you don't recognize that you know yet, and they have the form of stranger, which just kind of looks like what the physical form is that you see, whether it's old. To me, it's going to be old 50 whatever year old dude, just looks like an old guy. And then it happened to me with a friend of mine from where I grew up in a little town in Oregon, and we met each other at a backyard pool session, skateboarding in this backyard pool in Arkansas, and we just saw each other as a couple old guys, and then I recognized who he was, and he became instantly like 16-year-old Robbie again. And and it's amazing how we can do that with, what is it? It's that relationship makes us so multifaceted that we look beyond the form when we know someone. So I've had this little fantasy of like, if we meet, if it could happen when we met people, that we have the tendency to think, oh, that guy's just a whatever. Mm-hmm. And we saw all the people that loved them like somehow float up beside them, and we saw all the people that we would view humanity so differently.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, when we meet someone and recognize who they are from the past, and all that form goes away, and now they're just like the essence of this little kid we knew. So fucking cool.
That is funny when you meet somebody from as an adult when they were a kid. It's like, I haven't seen you. You were like a child last time. We were doing bad things.
Right,
yeah.
right. But you still see the kid in that person. And then the older we get, now I'm recognizing, like in another 20 years, I'll be 71. And then I'll see somebody, like it happened to me. I was back in a Safeway in my hometown in Kaiser, Oregon, 2 summers ago or something, and I was thinking, I'm like ready to meet old friends again. I went through a lot of shit where I would be back in my hometown, and I kind of felt like I wanted to I wanted to hide, and not and not have to see people and go through whatever the pleasantries are of like figuring out how did you become like this.
Yeah. The pleasantries.
Yeah, which are so hard.
Yeah.
They're not that pleasant. They're usually very irritating, for me at least, because I kind of go deeper quicker, or prefer to be there, I think, in conversation, so then the social anxiety kicks in when it's about just the pleasantries. Interestingly, we're doing this on a podcast, and people won't be seeing this, but you have
They can't see it.
Sesame Street. Okay, some won't, because we listened.
Oh, yeah.
My
Okay,
wife and I
gotcha.
listened to you and Stephen Barry talking in the car, so we didn't see that you were
Gotcha.
talking on Sesame Street, Grover, and Cookie Monster
Monster.
color microphone covers. These things are really cool.
Yeah. They make a difference, too, for the sound.
Yeah.
But let's introduce you now that we're
Okay.
5
Okay.
minutes
Okay.
in.
And I'm going to taste this coffee.
Yeah.
Thank you, Not Rowan Coffee in Asheville, North Carolina. Okay.
So today's interview is Stephen, what's your last name?
Miller.
Miller. I met Stephen at Jerry's Dead at Asheville Music Hall when I first moved here. I was kind of going through it. I feel like it was a sad song, and you gave me a hug.
Oh.
And then I was like, that guy's really cool.
Wait, I said, oh, to myself. Okay, so tell me that again, because I actually didn't realize that happened.
So it was like, you know how Jerry's Dead is like, there's like the side stage kind of in the front of the stage, the downstairs at Asheville Music Hall.
Oh, at
One
One
Stop,
Stop.
yeah,
Okay.
One Stop.
Okay.
And I was like at the front kind of, and I can't remember the song I was playing, but I feel like it was like an emotional song, and maybe I had like a bad day or something, and I was just kind of like rocking my head down, and he just like came behind me and gave me a hug, and I was just like, thanks, man, I needed that. And then from there, I started talking to you at shows.
Well, as there's a sticker going around town that I helped to pass out to some folks. I don't know who made it. Hugs help.
They do, yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
really
now
true.
that's funny that like that happened, and 4 months later, we're friends. We're with each other like all the time. We're at your birthday the other day.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really beautiful. Thank you.
That
by
was
the
a
way.
great time. Thanks for having us.
That was, no kidding, I think it's the best birthday I've had.
Yeah.
So much of, so I turned 51 on St. Patrick's Day, and I had a strange choice I made before the day, really, before anyone showed up. I decided to take some acid, and we can talk about this on air, can't
Yeah,
we?
talk about whatever you want.
So, and I didn't, speaking of pleasantries and social niceties, I forgot that I was kind of the host of this party. So I had taken this acid, and I also dressed up like a leprechaun, and my sister was helping me find more leprechaun gear to wear. And as I'm doing all this, I'm really aware that I'm going to get emotional on this stuff.
It's okay.
So, I lost my mom in April, and she, coming back and being with her while she was dying, feels to me like the doorway into this community here in Asheville, because I came to be her hospice caregiver.
So you moved here for your mother?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and she had moved here just 2 years prior. My stepdad had died down in Tampa, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom and stepdad had lived there 30 years of marriage, and or so. And then when he passed away, we brought Mom up here to be with my sister and brother-in-law, and we thought we would share. Mother-in-law, I'd build her a little mother-in-law suite in Arkansas where we were living, and we'd share Mom between my sister and I. And it's a 12-hour drive. It would have been difficult, but then she got sick, and it happened so fast.
Yeah.
And when I came here, I had the doctors 3 to 6 months ringing in my ears, and before I go on, I'm holding back, but I've decided. And I think it's really true in grief. She's worth every tear that I shed. So, but back to my point, my mom had a costume box for me. I was an only child for 9 years. I was born on St. Patrick's Day. And I mean, you guys decide yourself, but I don't think I'm a a clinical narcissist, but I had all the reason to be. I mean, 9 years of an only child my mom gave me a costume box full of everything. My whole life I thought that St. Patrick's Day was about me. I thought the parades were for me. So to be 51 and come back and the way this community made me feel, to come in my home and celebrate me, like, I know it's great to have a reason to celebrate, but this, oh my God, the kindness and love that was showered on me, dressed up as a leprechaun, tripping on acid, like recognizing, oh shit, I don't know how to host a party when everyone showed up. And it was like,
It was awesome.
yeah, one of my dearest friends gave me rocks to sit and look at so I could, be distracted with these crystals.
I think that was right when we got there.
And you guys showed up, and I'm like sitting there looking at a piece of labradorite and going deep into cosmic realms. This stone has miles somehow within a couple of inches, So yeah, I had a great birthday. So get me back on track.
Well, the birthday was great too, and we talked about how we met, and then I was at your birthday the other day. But we can kind of stick to that Asheville community thing, because I think for Chloe and I is we moved here, and when we moved here it was right at the time of the hurricane, and we got here and we're kind of like, what the fuck did we just do? We just moved into
same timing, yeah.
Into there's the National Guard everywhere. It's like, what are we doing here? And then we started going to Jerry's Dead, and then we met you. We met a buddy named Kevin, and then I
age Kevin?
No. He goes back to Florida in the winter, so he hasn't really been around. But you've probably seen him at Jerry's Dead. He's a cool guy. But then we met Alex, and we started the podcast, started going to shows, and then started getting invited to more intimate things. Yeah, and that is really even Wednesday.
So beautiful.
Yeah, and it's because I feel especially at my age, you have so many friendships that aren't really friendships. It's we'll just meet you at the bar and have a couple of drinks and then go our separate ways.
Yeah, and acquaintances, there's a place for that.
Yeah.
But when we want a deeper life,
exactly,
it can be real. I can only imagine the bar life would be. I got married when I was 22, so I didn't really have any of that time of sitting around bars hoping to connect.
Yeah.
But it must be shit, But then to come into a community where it's intergenerational and so
that's the coolest thing about it, I think.
My
Yeah.
God.
There's kids there that are 20, and then there's super old guys too, and it's just not a gap in it, of their relationship. Just because you're younger or you're older, I can't be your friend. It's it's kind of like the music, just
it's family.
yeah, it's everything that's in there.
Yeah, it's really family. And I somewhere, in when I was 20 years old, I had a psychotic break of sorts, at a Dead show in LA. And it came out of all of my religious fear. And I really didn't intentionally do this, but I ran back to Salem, Oregon, cut my locks off, was actually afraid that the Deadheads, were following me, had come to try and take me back. I was in such a terrified mind. I remember specifically sitting on a cigarette break, 20 years old, outside of a Big Town Hero Sandwich in Salem, Oregon, at 7 in the morning after making bread, and I'm having my break, and I hear He's Gone coming, and that was the song that Jerry turned on me and was killing me with his guitar, and I mean, this was the man that I was afraid maybe he was God. He was always something larger than a human.
Yeah.
And so Time magazine or Newsweek magazine had an article that year, 93 or 94, and it said, "Is Dead God?" Right, a little flip on his.
Yeah.
And with Jerry's head, the band is all playing up in his hair, all psychedelically, and his face on the cover of Newsweek. And I kept that magazine in my high school bedroom, and was it was a real question for me.
Yeah.
I was on tour, and I was, so. But
Why do you think that? Because you grew up in a religious, pretty religious,
I
right?
grew up in a Baptist house, conservative Baptist family out in the Pacific Northwest. So not as, my parents met at Tennessee Temple in Chattanooga, really conservative Baptist school in the 70s, when women couldn't wear skirts past their, shorter than their ankle,
Yeah.
And so that was the environment my parents grew up in. They moved out to Oregon, which was much more liberal just by the nature of the state and the
Pacific
place.
Northwest.
But they were still conservative people. I just, complained about having to go to church and as a kid, and it was more of a social life thing. In our little town, our Baptist church was right next door to the Mormon church, and these were kids we went to school with and played in sports with and did everything. But on Sunday mornings, and our parking lots actually touched parking lots, except there was a dividing curb, and we wouldn't play with the Mormon kids on Sundays, even though we played with them on Monday. There was a divide, and we knew we were supposed to be in the Baptist parking lot.
Did you feel that divide just because of their religion, or were you kind of like, this is weird? What was your interpretation of that at that age?
No, I don't think I would have felt it. Definitely didn't feel the divide.
Okay.
It was just we knew when we were at
like
church,
understood thing.
we don't go over to the Mormon
Okay.
church, and the Mormon kids knew they didn't come to the Baptist church, so we stayed in on our own playgrounds.
Yeah.
Which is it's really fucking weird. Yeah. As far as this topic of Asheville home, it's a biggie to me because we had the same experience. We got here, like I said, my mom was dying, and my family. I was here with my sister and her family and taking care of mom, and then my wife and kids came and joined us in late March, April last year. We had been looking for a house. We decided we were going to, after we lost her, she left a little inheritance to my sister and I. And we were looking for a house, anything we could have two families in, and kind of have this two-family household. And this incredible cabin popped up. I mean, that's probably when the sense of, I really think I'm in a dream started for me. And I've had to do things like actually talk about it a lot, where my kids are kind of irritated that I keep talking. I really do feel like I'm in a dream, though, because everything we've wanted, I'll have to remember my mom died. That is really shitty,
Yeah.
And Donald Trump is the president. That's really shitty. Okay, and there's global warming and climate change shit. But in my own personal life, I feel like everything is, since I went through this and have been going through this grief with my mom, that I've also had you guys, sitting in here doing a podcast. This is something, it's a small thing on some level, but this is a dream that I had 15 years ago painting houses. I had one day in Nashville, Tennessee, where 4 people told me out of the blue. It went on in 1 week. I had it, and I thought, oh, this is God. I'm going to be a radio DJ or something.
Yeah.
Because it was so strangely serendipitous, and then nothing came out of it. Where I had a customer say, have you ever thought about being on the radio? Another friend said, don't take this the wrong way, but I hear you on NPR. All these, I'm like, what the fuck am I going to, and I thought it was time to just put my paint tools down and
start a podcast.
Wait, no, my problem, and I'm finally realizing it, what religion did to me and all the rehabs and shit I was put in the 80s or in the 90s, I really believed somehow that being this humble, godly person, whatever the ideal was that I was going for, meant that I didn't take any action. I didn't actually do anything. I waited. And I thought that my inner position was to sit and wait, and then it would happen. Because if I tried to take the reins, that would be some kind of selfish, self-promoting thing. I had so much fear of actually taking action and doing something. So we lived for 20 years. My wife and I got married in '96. We had our honeymoon up here in Asheville, and we've lived in the Midwest, places I fucking hate. Lived in north central Kansas, and then lived in Arkansas. I mean, Northwest Arkansas is pretty, but I'm from the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
I need elevation. I didn't know I need it. I have to be able to go into what I call elsewhere, up into where you come back and say, oh, no one knows where I've been.
Yeah.
So when I came here on my honeymoon from
We'll cut
Oregon,
that part.
I complained. I told Christy, I said, where are the mountains? And she's like, these are the mountains. You're in the Smoky Mountains. I said, no, there's no timberline. There's no snow caps. Because from the Cascades. And I was so snobby about the West Coast.
West Coasters always are.
But I couldn't see it. I
Yeah.
honestly could not. I couldn't see them. I thought, these are pretty. They're like foothills. It's pretty.
Yeah.
And it's also small. And then I came back here at 50, and went off in these mountains for solace and to grieve and to deal with what was happening in my life, and I found this incredible personality to these mountains, and knowing that they're much older than I even believed the Earth was at the time, So to think, these are bigger than the Himalayas, and the French Broad is as ancient as the Nile and the Euphrates,
Is it really?
So, yeah.
I didn't know that.
So it's one of the oldest rivers in the world. So to come here and start believing that's not just Asheville talk, that's real
world.
And and to imagine the Cherokee and peoples of this land sitting on that river like Hindus would on the banks of the Ganges, it kind of gives me a different perspective of the age and the.
Growing up in Virginia, we did a lot of our history was the Native Americans and the Appalachian Mountains and the mountains in Virginia, the Blue Ridge Mountains over there too. And I always was very interested in just these people living, these people here where I'm at now, just living off the land like that is really, really interesting to me.
Yeah, and living a life that we can't really, we can only touch it with fantasy really right now. Who knows where we're heading, but I love the idea of new archaism, going back to that.
Same, yeah. It's fun to just go just walk in the woods and see where you end up. It's something primally satisfying to it.
Well, we're going to need to go camping then.
I'm down anytime.
Springtime's here. We're going to, yes, well, we shall. So this theme of home, I woke up today and I'd had a dream last night, which I don't remember a lot of my dreams. I think it's because I smoke so much. I just don't.
I never even dream when I smoke. But
really?
when I don't smoke, I have crazy dreams.
Okay, yeah, they come back really intense. I was listening to this psychedelic therapy podcast yesterday about dreams. That may be why I remember my dream.
Okay.
But in the dream, I'm saying to this guy with a black beard and shoulder length black hair. No facial features. I can recognize the person I know. And I'm telling him about how when I was a kid, meaning when I was in my late teens and up to 20, because I stopped doing psychedelics at 20 and got super religious and when I lost my shit in LA. But in the dream, I'm telling this guy, my trips were always, and I said the phrases religious symbols, and then I went into all these binary phrases of good and evil, acceptance, rejection, joy and sorrow, life and death, and that somehow all of my psychedelic experiences as a teen and up to 20 would. And sometimes, they might be really fun times and super giggly. It wasn't like I was always having bad trips, but
the back of your mind
core of it,
yeah.
And that I was always afraid that if I stopped for a minute, if I was alone, if the fun kind of ended, or if I got off in a quiet place, that I would go into this bad space.
Yeah.
Which is actually that was how I was living. In general, that was my mind. I didn't understand the concept of mind manifesting. My mind was being manifest to me in symbols, in pictures that I would see, and this was my big thing, was being a kid on Dead Tour, as little street rats were in the 90s. I was already a skateboarder, street rat kind of kid, and then to be on tour, and I'd always wanted to be some kind of hobo.
How long did you do it for, the tour?
My son was asking me that just a couple months ago. He's like, "Papa, how many shows did you go to?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And he kind of went and did the math with me. And, it was like, "Well, we do have the internet, So, okay, my first show was Chinese New Year of '93 in Oakland.
Okay.
So February of '93. I had tried to go and see Jerry a few times before and kept getting thwarted. And one time was, and I need to look this up. I tried to and couldn't find anything, but there was in Coburg, Oregon. That's Coburg, Oregon, B-U-R-G. There was Live After Dead, might have been 91 or 92. Whoever knows the history on this, Jerry got sick. The Dead was coming to Eugene, to Autzen Stadium, and we were going to go, and I was going to hitchhike all the way from Salem to Eugene, 55 miles. We had to hitchhike. This was the thing.
Yeah.
We hitchhiked to the Oregon Country Fair, where I saw my first hippie when I was 15. Everything, somehow it always had to be hitchhiking to these things. So we were going to hitchhike down to Eugene, and then Jerry was sick, and all the heads were already in town. And so me and one of my hometown friends hitchhiked down to Coburg, which is like halfway to Eugene, down I-5. And they had set up a bunch of bands, and everybody was out in this big field. In my memory, like you can see it off of the interstate. I don't know if that's true or not. I ended up taking a bunch of mushrooms that night and laying kind of isolated with my friend Sean in our sleeping bags, like way too early, just laying down in the middle of the parking lot, staring at the sky. And all of a sudden I'm realizing, oh shit, how did I not understand? Live after dead, Jerry died. I mean, he didn't die at that point. But this was, and in my mind, I'm like, how am I so fucking dense? I didn't understand. This is called Live After Dead. Everyone's sad. Like, I'm walking around, everybody's like so sad because Jerry died. Like, why am I the only one who didn't know this? You know, and it wasn't true yet.
Yeah.
But
in that time too, like the 90s, like Jerry cancels a show. The show's called Life After Dead. You're like, you can't check your phone and like find out what, just a couple little murmurs.
A phone. That phone was with a wire on the wall at my dad's house. Yeah.
So you went. So you were born in Oregon, and then you moved to Florida, and then you went back to Oregon. And that's when you started getting into the Dead music.
Yeah. So my parents divorced in, was it 87? And well, I was 13. I was born in 74.
Okay.
So I was 13.
That
Yeah,
makes
87.
sense,
right? So my mom drove us. We had a 78 pop top Volkswagen van that some missionaries had given to my parents when they went into the Philippines. So we had this 78 bright orange Volkswagen that my mom took us on this epic journey to get away from my dad, really to punish him so that he would feel what it felt like to not have his children.
Yeah. Because
he had had an affair in a town of 5,000 people. He had pastored the church. At one point, he was like some sort of pillar in my mom's mind, at least, baseball coach, basketball coach, little league, all this stuff. And she was so ashamed to be in a town where everyone knew that she had been cheated on. And she left with us, and until her dying day, which was not so long ago, she was still in love with the memory of my dad. She had been married for 30 years to my stepdad, who was a wonderful grandpa. Terrible stepdad. Wonderful. Really good grandpa to my kids. I fell in love with him when my daughter was born 27 years ago.
Stepdads are tough, man.
Oh, fuck. Real, and when they're Marines? And he slept with a pistol under his pillow when you have two stepdads?
Well,
your mom married a gay couple?
No. My mom got married, and so my mom and my real dad split up when I was little, and then my mom got married when I was like 7, and then they divorced when I was like 17, and then she just got married again like 2 years ago.
Okay.
But both the guy that she's married to now, I don't really consider my stepdad because I was like grown already. But he's a really good dude, and my stepdad's.
He's a good guy to your mom.
That's all that. At this point in my life, I'm like, he could do whatever as long as he's nice to you. Like, I'm a grown up. I'm gonna be okay either way.
Not looking for the dad anymore. Yeah, I was looking for a dad for a long time because my dad was my best friend. Mm-hmm. So to lose that at 13 was like, it sucked. But I would fly back and forth from Portland to Tampa every few months. This is in the 80s. I could, at 15 years old, in 89 or 90, whatever, I could walk to the back of a Delta plane and bum a Winston from an old man who would just kind of like shake his head and hand me a cigarette, and sit there, 13-year-old kid smoking cigarettes in the back of a Delta, and the stewardess would just walk by and kind of do that little bad kid head shake, and that's it.
That's crazy.
And then try and like kill my breath before I jumped out at the airport to see either mom or dad, And so, yeah, cigarettes were definitely the gateway drug.
So before we get into the drugs, though, I do want to talk. So you lived in Tampa.
Yeah.
I lived in Tampa for a while. You saw my toes.
Let me see your toes again. Ybor. Fascinating. Ybor City.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I got on the bus.
Yeah, so I want to hear about that. Because I love Ybor.
Okay. You know what's funny? For a second, I thought you just said, "'Cause I love you, boy," and I was like, "I love you too, Clint." But you said, "I love Ybor."
I do love you, but I wouldn't call you
that's
boy.
nice, but you can call me. If you say I love you, you can call me anything.
Okay.
Okay.
I love you, boy.
I love you because I love you, boy. All right, then I'll tell you my story, boy. So, and my daughters call me girl now, so that's kind of cute.
That's funny.
Yeah, because I was like, why are you calling me? Now I'm like, oh, I get it. It feels good. Okay, Ybor City. So I was, like I said, I was 15 in Tampa, Florida, skateboarder.
Skate park of Tampa? Was that a thing?
Well,
yet?
so skate park in Tampa was not a thing yet,
Okay.
and the people that started it probably wouldn't know me by name, but my buddies that I skated with were all very instrumental in the beginning of that. There was a place called Astro Skate in Tarpon Springs that was a fucking incredible place for pre-internet skateboarders.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only way we could find each other was listening for the wheels rolling on
Yeah.
the concrete somewhere, or like these old skate zines and stuff where you, but you might find out there was a contest going on somewhere in the southeast, and all go to a place. But,
Everybody, yeah.
But every Friday night, Astro Skate was a roller skating rink in Tarpon Springs, wooden floor. They would move. They had a full, there was an 11.5-foot half pipe in the back that I broke my jaw on, doing really in details, like a foot and a half out, and then I fucking fell all the way to my face because I was a street skater who didn't know how to bail to his knees. And we had a 8-foot mini ramp in the back, and then they would turn the floor into a full-on skate park, and this is like when New Order and then Rob Bass. And my only rap, I want to rock right now. I'm Rob Bass, and I came to get down. I'm not internationally known, but I'm known to rock the microphone because I get stupid. I mean outrageous. Stay away from me if you're contagious, because I'm the man. No, I'm not a loser. Me and MC is what I choose. The ladies love me. Girls adore me. I mean, even the ones that never saw me like the way that I rhyme in the show. The reason
In the
why,
Jerry
man, I
Garcia
don't know,
sweater.
so let's go, cuz. It takes two to make a thing go right.
I do know that. Okay. I
It
didn't know that
takes
was the
two to make
beginning
it
of
out of sight. That was playing. That was always there. We're doing like big method airs off launch ramps. It takes two, and they had wall ride. I mean, this place was an incredible for skateboarders who have never skated on a wooden roller skating floor. Like it has bounce to it. So you can ollie higher. Like you can. Like it was an incredible.
Do you
thing.
still skate at all now?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And there's a lot of skaters, and whoever in our little community that's listening to this, we're going to get together and have a psychedelic skate night.
That would be
Asheville.
fun.
Yeah.
I'll get a
Late night
longboard and
skate.
do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll just carve around. We don't have to do handrails and shit. We
I'm
can
gonna
just
need like a
skate.
cane to stop me down some of these hills.
And a
So I'm
cane.
not going
And
so
but
fast.
we'll also be able, we can all stay down and block intersections.
Yeah.
And hills together and sit and do. If you don't know,
You got to be the coolest 50-year-old dude ever.
I'm sure there's cool 50-year-olds. I tell you, it's ganja, man.
Yeah.
For me, because I was, as my friend Kenton always said, jammed up. I was really emotionally jammed up, and I got all jammed up in a really shitty way over all this religious stuff, and really because of unhealed trauma and stuff that I was not willing to touch. And so that sense of my bad trips as a young man, the fearful thing for me was, and it would happen to me a lot when I was a teenager in parties where I was trying to be cool, which doesn't work so great on acid. And I would end up in the bathroom just staring into my eyes and hating myself, not knowing why, hating that I was so uncomfortable, that I was so insecure, that I didn't know how to talk to the girl I wanted to, whatever, and just being a kid. How did I end up in a bathroom staring in a mirror with all this loathing, self-loathing? And how do you get yourself together and walk out back into a party and be okay, And why we thought tripping at parties with our drunk friends was it didn't work very well. But I had a reverse of that, at 36, I'd smoke every once in a while and wonder, because I would go, this is such a big no-no for evangelical Christians, right? And to be among the evangelical hippie Christians was a really weird thing, because we were going out to rainbow gatherings and going on to the parking lots of shows and trying to evangelize, trying to show these people how happy and how much love we have and whatever the fuck, but we did it through giving away food, trying to be some kind connection, but it was really a very manipulative, I could not see who I was at all.
This was so you had the
but they could. Everybody could see through it when you're doing that shit.
So you had the psychotic break at 20 and then went back to religion.
Terrified. I ran back into it. Yeah.
Did you find any solace at first in that, or was it just
yeah? I found an answer for. I found people that were very ready to say, "Oh yes, you met the devil in the parking lot of a Dead show in L.A. Of course, that fits."
Yeah.
And so I begged. I fell down. Well, I can tell that whole story if you want, but I mean, I fell down. I had been told in like prophecy version from my friend Wind, who I would love to meet her again. Her name's Amber from Santa Cruz. She would also be like 49 now probably, because she was 18 when I was 20. And so Wind was this, she was like a little Raggedy Ann, like the sweetest little tour girl you could meet. She had a dog named Newhart, who was, I wish I could paint a picture of him. He had, what is a dog? Big bloodhound eyes, but he might have been a bloodhound. He was floppy ears, but he was white and brown and kind of longer haired. And Newhart.
It's a beautiful name for a dog.
I know. And I only thought of him as Bob Newhart, because my dad loved Bob Newhart's show. And you know, you remember, I'm Larry and this is my brother Daryl, my other brother Daryl. You guys are too young. You're too young for that shit. Well, that was the Newhart show. So I thought of Newhart, and not until I was older, I was like, oh my God, her name was Wind, and her dog's name was Newhart, and I didn't receive either of them as that at the time, but like that's what it's like it took 16 years for me to even touch on, just scratch what had happened to me that night when I was 20. Mm-hmm. And at 36, and I'd smoke herb again, I'd take a puff and I'd go, oh, this is why it's evil. And I'd agree with what they told me, you know, because I question everything.
Yeah.
And I question everything about, and all my belief system and my doctrines and all of my theology, which was my projection of my own fearful little heart, you know, onto this creator of the universe, and trying to say these are the characteristics and the virtues of the maker of all things, that somehow is like my fearful little self. Like, so that turns this one into a very judgmental, very fearful, very sectarian, you know, and all the while these scriptures we were reading and I was pouring my life into for a very long time, you know, getting up early in the morning, getting up 4 a.m. and reading that Bible and trying to find my worth somehow in what I did, and then I would get up and try and give myself to something that only God can measure. Yeah. Right. And whatever the fuck that was, you know, and I'll be trying to figure that out probably the rest of my life, and that's okay, because this freedom of actual, well, Terence McKenna uses some phrase about the felt experience of the present, you know, being, and like I would never get that in my religious time. It was always, and we would try and whip it up, you know, through like singing and praising and singing for hours and hours until like some kind of ecstatic sense would come that would then verify all of the bullshit that we preached to each other. You know, it was like, oh, if we feel some presence of some goodness, then that validates all this other shit, instead of just being good people.
Yeah.
You know, and I couldn't be that. And I believed the message then of so much shame, you know, so much shame. And it does its work, you know, and we see it right now in the political environment we're in. We see what it looks like to not love yourself, and how actually wicked and evil that is, to not be able to find love in this world, to not be able to find love. Are you fucking kidding me? And to not apprehend that and grab it and first drink it, right? Take it in. It's love. It transforms us. Like, we have to drink that in ourselves. Yeah. Oh, then it flows everywhere else. It's better than everything that I had been trying to get through some form of
Do you think there was like a specific moment when you like switched, like when you were like, I'm not gonna find that from religion? Like, was there a specific instant that like made that change in your heart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll probably sound crazy. So, oh boy. All right.
And we don't have to get into it if you don't want to.
No, I actually do, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because it's a big deal. And so I woke up remembering, like I said, that dream today. This has been funny because we've been trying to do this podcast for a while, and I've kept on not being able to do it because I'm very hard to I'm very ADHD, as my children have taught me. I didn't know I was. You're like, oh really? It's kind of really. You didn't know you had ADHD? No, I didn't know it.
People watching are like, we knew it.
One moment, we knew. Yeah, we knew. So, someone told me cannabis and coffee is a hippie speedball. Right? That's kind of nice, huh? And feel free to take if you like that. You're not smoking because of your mind? Is that?
I just will go quiet, probably.
Exactly. The mind-mouth connection. So I woke up thinking about that dream. I didn't actually wake up thinking about it. That popped back in, but I was sitting watching little Jerry Sunday Jerry Church, and I turned it on right when Mission in the Rain was on, which is just one of my favorite, like, melancholy, like, why is such a sad song so beautiful songs, you know?
It tends to happen, I feel like.
Ugh. And isn't that what Robert Hunter, I mean, however Jerry and Hunter did this combining of lyric and melody to...
I'm reading a book by Robert Hunter right now. Check it out afterwards, yeah. It's pretty good.
Okay.
It's like his manuscript when they were like 19.
I would love to.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's kind of all over the place because he was 19 years old.
Well, yeah.
Doing acid, but it's
well,
really
in
nice.
the spirit of ADHD and doing acid and being all over the place, I didn't, this is the most acid I've done in 30 years has been in these past couple months. And I realized 3 nights ago, whatever the Tuesday night family band was, Garrett Andrews, plug, was playing. It was the most magical. It was incredible. Well, I got dosed and came home and realized in the bathroom, I was like, I have never thanked Robert Hunter for his music. Like, what the hell? And I'm like, it like came up as if the most absurd thought, like, how have I never thanked him? And I just started talking to him, having the most normal ones. I mean, I didn't hear any response, but I really felt like, have I just not talked to dead people because that's what I was taught in my religion? And so I didn't, like, there's a lot of people we're not having conversations with.
Mm-hmm. What does that look like for you, though?
For me, it looked like just saying, "Oh my God!" I was on the toilet. And I was like, Robert. Like I just said it. I was like, Robert. Oh my God! I've never. And I'm remembering myself at 15, as I'm saying, Robert, thank you for your music. I was out on an Outward Bound, what was called the Catherine Freer Survival School, and I was a 15-year-old kid. My dad put me into a thoughtful rehab center, which was to go out in Eastern Oregon, high desert, and for a month, and just be out surviving. So, and it was very cool. I mean, honestly, it was one of my best memories of my life because we had a little flint and our tinderbox, and we had to keep our dry stuff in the high desert snow. And hiking with a little group of people and a couple counselors, and then we'd split off every night and have our own private fire and world we made. And first place I ate rabbit shit, scooping up snow with rabbit turds in it and my oatmeal, and like that's some good experience.
Why are you eating rabbit shit?
Well, because I was scooping up snow to make my oatmeal in the dark, and I didn't know there was shit in the snow. And by the time I had made my oatmeal and I'm eating said shit, I'm like, how did this get raisins? No.
That's the
realize
best
it was
animal
rabbit
poop
shit.
to eat, I feel.
I agree.
Yeah.
I've told many people, I say, if you're going to eat like a high Eastern Oregon desert rabbit,
they're like small little pebbles too.
Yeah, it's like just grasses that have passed. It's probably a delicacy.
And somewhere it is.
Passed through a rabbit's body. So I had a really distinct moment. The way I fell in love with Grateful Dead was my friend Jason and I. In ninth grade, we were in choir in Oregon. In our school in Oregon, like choir and art was all a very cool thing. It wasn't when I went down to Florida, but
did you go to school in Oregon or Florida?
Both.
Oh,
both. Like I said, through high school, I was shipped back and forth on those
Okay.
Delta planes where I
Gotcha.
smoked my cigarettes. So we would come home after school and find a bud, and his brother worked at Pietro's Pizza. We'd go into the jacket, find a little nug in his film canister, and go smoke one of these beautiful little expandable kind buds. We just call it kind bud because it wasn't the Mexican brick stuff that we all got. And then sit down. We'd put American Beauty on tape. I would sit on his brother's bed. He would sit on his, the little nightstand between the beds, and we would just sing along with the whole tape. We would just sit and sing through American Beauty and sing through Working Man's Dead along with the songs, and felt like we were creating it. Like we were 15. We felt like we were creating this music for the first time, and we're singing along with tapes made in the 70s. It's just it's amazing the transformative and transporting power of this music.
You want to hear a cool story about the American Beauty record?
Please.
My grandpa has really bad dementia, and he's like to the point now where like he doesn't really know what's going on or anything. And my grandma was like, "Hey, you kind of like music the most out of all the grandkids. Why don't you take a look through his old records and see what you want?" And he had 72 American Beauty record, like pristine condition.
Your grandpa?
My grandpa. He had never told me he listened to the Grateful Dead or anything. We'd always go to music. Like, he took me to tons of concerts when I was a kid. He always listened to like NPR out of the box. But we never talked about Grateful Dead. And he had that record, and I was just like, damn, I wish I could talk to him about it now.
How old would your grandpa be?
He's probably close to 80.
Okay, he is living?
He's still alive, yeah. But he's not doing too hot.
Okay. Oh, because of dementia.
Yeah. But that was probably like 2 or 3 years ago, and he was just like, I don't really remember that one. But now he can't even like talk to me. But
I'm sorry.
But that was I always like think that's just a cool story. Like, it's one of my favorite records I have. It's in best, like, perfect condition, and it was just cool that my
That's
grandpa
so cool.
I was able to get it with my grandpa. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, the legacy of this music, and being able to, and seeing my son at 16, like it was a couple years ago, a friend of mine, he was wearing a little Steely on a hoodie, and my buddy was like, "Oh, you're listening to the Dead now, Finn?" And he says, my son's like, "Oh, I've never put it on, but like I know all the music, like it's just been the background."
My dad always plays it
of his life, exactly. But now he's really into it. Like that was when he was just kind of not. He hadn't. Billy Strings led Finn into loving the Dead, the music that he already knew.
I feel like that's happening to a lot of people.
For sure.
Yeah.
But this moment for me out where I was eating
yeah.
rabbit turds out in the Eastern Oregon desert. So I'm walking along this, I don't know what river it was, but some high desert river. That sounds strange. But I'm walking along a river and all alone. And these alone times it's strange. It's the thing I'm realizing something. It was the time the thing I was afraid of the most as a kid really was being alone. Mm-hmm. And it's the place I've found like the most beauty ever has been alone. And I've resisted it. I've always been a very social person, so I'm when I was a teenager, I remember waking up and just being like calling people like, boom, immediately busy, being with people, doing things.
Same, yeah. When I was a kid, I did the same thing.
And and if it was young kid, it was out playing baseball until the streetlights came on, and then we had to run home. But then by the time I was skateboarding, it was sneaking out at night, all night, constantly skipping school all day. Everything was constantly with friends, and this alone. So I'm walking along this river, and I was singing "Broke Down." Boy, I am an emotional. Singing "Broke Down Palace" at 15 by myself, and having this feeling of loving my own voice, like appreciating it.
Yeah.
And it was something I didn't do. And I don't know where I do a bit. It's a hard thing on a soul to be broken away from your parents. Yeah. And to have that, boy, I'm 51 and I'm just, I've been in therapy for like 2 years now. I'm finally digging into where I got so broken and why. And it's not It's not just for staying there. You know, I really was afraid in therapy when I first started going, oh no, I don't want to talk about that rehab stuff. I was 18. Like, it doesn't even feel appropriate to go back and feel all those feelings. And I realized it was really intense for a minute, like seeing, because the rehabs I was put in were like mind control, like really fucked up, illegal shit now. They're only, anything close to that's only legal in Mormon Utah, where they can still do like gay conversion therapy and stuff, because that's the kind of shit they were doing to us. You know, teach you that you're a piece of shit first. That was the idea. Break down,
like your psyche,
break you down, and then build you up in the image they want you to be, which was Nancy Reagan, beautiful little, you know, suit and tie kid who didn't never do any bad drugs. So I love to alter my consciousness.
Yeah,
You know, always have. And so I woke up today thinking about this. No, didn't wake up. It was sitting there during Jerry Church, and I thought, oh, I should probably have a theme for this podcast, because I've got like, but I didn't think of the theme until it came, because I was remembering running through, the only time I sleepwalked sounds right.
Sleepwalked.
The only time I was sleepwalking.
There you go.
My sleepwalking career was very brief, but it was. But when my parents they adopted my little brother and then got pregnant with my sister the same year, and then we moved like 4 houses down around the corner to be in a larger house to accommodate a larger family, and so I was like 10 years old, summer, Oregon summer, tidy whities, probably Fruit of the Loom, just to give you a full picture. So I wake up in my Fruit of the Loom, tidy whities, sitting on the curb in front of our previous house that we had just moved out of, and I'm still like in this little dream. And in the dream, or in the storyline of the dream, is that there had been a party, which never had happened, but there had been a party at the people's house across the street, and I was the last one there, which does happen a lot, and it was time for me to go home. And so I'm in my underwear, and it's like 2 a.m, I find out later, and I'm walking, trying to find my house, and I can't find the house, and I start to run. I'm running because I got to get home. I'm actually running the wrong way, and I ran like almost all the way to Dairy Queen, which was like a long, like, you know, quarter mile from my house, and then had turned around and was running back, and I was having this little phenomena of if you ever run at night in a neighborhood with street lights, you can watch your shadow go from behind you, right, to like catch up to you and then go in front of you and then go behind. You look like the Bionic Man, another 80s reference, 70s actually, and so you can see this shadow movement, and I'm like transfixed with watching, and I'm running fast, you know, in my underwear in the cold 2 a.m. night through the neighborhood I grew up in. Can't find my house, and I run past my friends, but I'm seeing things and interpreting things, right?
Did you take acid this day?
No, I was 10 years old. And I run past my friends, which I did do 5 years later, but I was 10, and I run past my friend's house where they were all sleeping in their tent in the front yard, and my parents wouldn't let me stay with Scott and Kyle, and so I made a mental note, like the tent was down, like they weren't in it, like they had dropped the tent down, but it was laying in the front yard. And so I got to my house, and I found it, and I remember I walked around because I didn't want to go. It was shadows between the Volkswagen van and my dad's little Mazda car. So I walked around the outside of that because I thought the shadow looked scary. Got into the house, was standing at the toilet taking a pee, and that's when I woke up. And I was like, "Oh my God, I've been outside!" I actually woke up, like became really aware, you know. But I was seeing everything, right? I kind of like woke up on the curb in my underwear trying to find the house, but I wasn't really awake. That's so crazy. So I go up to my parents, 10 years old. I run upstairs. I'm like, I've been outside. They said, no, you had a bad dream. I said, no, I've got pebbles from the asphalt in my feet, and I can prove, and my skin's cold. So they believed me. They took me to the doctor. They said, well, put a couch in front of the bed. Put a
Couch in front
of the door. Because sleepwalkers take the path of least resistance. And so I would wake up on the couch every morning for a while. It's really weird. Never did it again. But then my it was funny because this morning this came to me, and I was sitting on the couch and I yelled back to my wife and sister who were hanging out on talking on the bed. I said, I think I have a theme for my day. And it came to like emotionally, like I didn't put together that I was looking for home in that sleepwalking thing. Then I was on Dead tour the night that I thought, what I thought happened, my big psychotic break was I thought Jesus came to the LA Sports Arena and took all the Christians out of it. And I was left alone on earth with all the ones who were left on earth. And in the story I was going by, that meant hell. It was hell on earth. It was going to war, desolation. Every terrible thing was going to happen. And, ultimately the prince of darkness was the ruler of it all, And it was, that was terrifying to me.
Yeah.
And I thought I had chosen it by just being being a selfish, bad person. It's so weird to think of myself that way now because I don't. And I had a time, when I started smoking cannabis again, it became no small thing. I was like wrecked. It would wreck me for all my religion, and I'd be sobbing on, like actually laying on the floor, like going, "Oh, who am I? I don't know," and getting this kind of really. It was like time stopped for me from the time I was 20 until I was 36. I was able to actually stop time, stop maturation, stop. Not that I didn't grow. I met my wife and had my beautiful children during this time, and have had a lot of relationships that I value, but everything was tainted and somehow, and I don't mean my children and wife, but like somehow my larger life, and I think our family life was also stunted because we were living in this really small world and small idea of what love looked like.
Yeah.
and how that worked, and honestly, I didn't have it.
It's like a
I was
facade
grasping
almost.
at love, but I wasn't producing it. Yeah, it was a facade.
That's an insightful thing what you just said.
It was a facade, and I wanted love badly all my life. I can see myself being like but love to me was really about acceptance.
Can you go back to that thing you said you were grasping for love but you weren't producing it? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way if I were, and I don't mean to do this, but I spent a lot of time reading the Bible.
Still.
And did.
Okay.
I don't anymore.
Okay.
And not that I have, it just triggers too much shit for me now.
That's why when you said, I thought you still didn't. I was like, that's crazy.
No, I don't. But there's things there's a lot of beauty there that I really love. But
Romans in the Bible, I love that chapter of the Bible.
What
book
is
of
it?
the Bible? Romans?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that book
There's
a lot.
some powerful visions in
Yeah.
there of who we are and what we can be. It's just when it's limited. So what I see is the beauty of what the Christians call the gospel, the good news. If it's good news, it's good. It's easy to tell what's good and what's not. And good news is that love is here. Right? And wake up and live in it. That's really good news. It's here. You can have it. No one's holding it back from you. You can. And so, to me, so there was this thing where I even know people hate to hear these words. I don't even say the names, but the edict was given to these followers to go out and make disciples of all the nations, right? And it says, go out, cast out demons, heal the sick, raise the dead, tell them the kingdom of God is upon you, for freely you've received, freely give. And I read this is in the book of John. I was reading this as I was 36 and I was super high and I was trying to figure out my shit and get my heart right and where have I been living? I've been trying to find my life in this Bible and this book and it's fucked me.
Yeah.
Fucked me bad, right? And So, but I'm trying to wind my way out of it. I'm having to use that same thing to get myself out of how trapped I was by it.
Yeah.
Which seems like insanity because you say you can't use the same mind you got into the problem to get out of the problem. But there I was doing it. And so I'm reading this thing that Jesus says to go do, and I hear this voice, what says, freely you've received, freely give. And I hear, what have you been receiving, son? That's what I heard inside. Mm-hmm. I mean, I heard it like with my ears.
Yeah.
And I said, but with that voice came memory and images, very psychedelic, of like all the shit I had been doing and all the stuff, the way I had been telling people. I'd been projecting all of my own shame and my own fear and my own inadequacy on, I don't know, man. I don't know what people would say. People have told me that I didn't look like that then, but my inner person was, so it doesn't matter. You know, it's like, oh, maybe I was dressing it up and trying to make it look prettier and tell people, you know, that they were worthless or shitty unless they came along with this story. I didn't say it like that. I didn't think it like that.
It felt like that.
But it was shit.
Yeah.
And it was shit to give someone, you know, and so this, what you asked me, I wanted to love, but I didn't have it for myself, so I couldn't give it. And it was as simple as that. If I don't have it, I can't give it.
Yeah.
So who do you think you are saying you're loving when you don't have love? What is it? All you fucking evangelists and Christians out there saying you're loving people, you got to go find love. And love will transform you into its own image. Mm-hmm. And its own image is actually something that gives life and gives healing spontaneously. Just like water nourishes everything, it does it like that. You know, it's not like you earn it. You don't fucking earn your water. You don't earn going down and laying in a stream. You do it because it's there. You can have it. Or you can go and, you know, have your flesh mutilated and get ripped up by some wild animal. Whatever. Yeah. There's all kinds of things you can experience in life. But, like, the good stuff is here, and it's free, and it's however it came. I don't know. But I didn't think I could create it. So I sat around and waited for God to reward me. Mm.
It's a hard thing to realize is that, like, we do deserve happiness. Like, we do. I think even, like, for myself, something recently I've kind of discovered is, like, I deserve to be, like, a happy person and deserve to go. Like you said in the beginning, you were like, I was just waiting for these things to happen. And I feel like that's something that I've been doing, just, like, waiting for something good to happen to me instead of, like, trying to make it happen myself. Which is hard. It's hard to do that, though, because it's hard to, like, believe that you are worth that.
Well, you are doing it. I mean, you're doing a really beautiful thing.
I appreciate that.
Because you don't know what it's going to be every time. There's something really, right? Like you're saying, okay, I'm going to step out and do this thing that really depends on connection, vibe, creativity, somebody else. You know, it's not just you. Like that's like a band, right? That's like that's like any group of, like when we do something that's beyond, like we're believing in ourselves, but we're also believing that this community, man, that's why I keep on saying, it's magic. I know it's magic.
Yeah.
I know it's magic. I just didn't give magic enough, I didn't believe in it enough. And my mom did when I was little, because she used to sew Peter Pan's shadow onto my pajamas, and I remember seeing it. You know, that's some of my earliest memories are my mom was Wendy and I was Peter Pan, and me and my shadow and me would be, you know, and she would sew that onto me, and I can still remember that image, you know.
That's so wild to me that you feel that way, because I think, like, every time I go somewhere and you're, like, in the room, like, it's like a brighter room than it was before. Like,
shut up.
You give great hugs too. Like, your hugs are so great. Yeah, because there was a few times where I would go to Jerry's Dead by myself and, like, wait for her to get there, and I'd always see you. And then, like, there was another time where I think I had just gotten my buddy Kevin a beer. I think it was Halloween, and I had 2 beers in my hand, and me and you were, like, dancing in a circle, kind of. And you were like, "Are you going to drink both of those?" And I was like, "No, I'm holding."
It wasn't Halloween, though, because I was at Billy in Baltimore on Halloween.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't, but I do remember that.
Yeah, it was like, I feel like it was some kind of, like, holiday, or there was something going on and I had both beers, and like we were both like just kind of spinning in a circle doing our dance, and you're like, "Are you gonna drink both of those?" And I was like, "No, I'm holding it for somebody." But even just like little moments like that when I first met you, I was like, "This guy fucking rules."
What is it about dancing? Okay, so because
That's another thing. Sorry to interrupt
so
you, but
fucking beautiful.
I'll be at a show and like I'm kind of just moving myself, and then you come in and start like running around and dancing, and then like everybody just starts dancing. Like once you do it, just like everyone's like, okay, we can all do it, and there's like
Okay.
6 people dancing.
Okay, so that's interesting. That's really fun. It's cool that happens. I know that happens with people's vibes. This was really interesting though. It was at Salvage. I think it was at Salvage Station before the storm, and there was this guy who came into town named Michael, who looked. I didn't know that we looked so much alike. It was really strange. Like the guy's 10 years younger than me. We're out in the parking lot looking for a miracle to go in for who was playing? Oh shit. Was it might have been Yonder Mount. No,
get
it
in
wasn't.
every show,
Because
don't
I met
you?
Tommy there. Huh?
You get in every show, don't you?
I get into a lot of shows. I got into probably 90% of my shows on Dead Tour when Jerry was and Jerry Band shows. Miracle. And then my friend Wind, I remember the first time I saw Melvin Seals.
He's playing with Jerry.
I know.
Jerry's
I'm
dead,
fucking
yeah.
excited. I think the first time I remember, I could be wrong because it all rolls into one, is on Portland Meadows, and we were trying to get a ticket. And my friend Wind, the one who prophesied we're all going home in L.A., which I'll tell you that story in a minute, unless we don't have time. I want to go see. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's only 1:06.
okay, we got a show at 2. Oh shit! Knew I should have been here at 9 in the morning. She's like, let's play Invisible. So this is the first time I played Invisible. Was at Portland Meadows, and we just started walking, and I don't even know where the security was or the gate because we're walking, and then we're like, I hear the music in my mind. He's playing "Waiting for a Miracle." I don't know if they were, and Melvin's Oregon's just swelling, and it's a daytime out in the Portland Meadows grass outdoor show, and I feel all the vibes of black church, gospel, but without any of the weird shit,
Yeah.
like, because I probably could have stepped into a black church as a kid and not had those gross triggers of my youth, going into a Baptist church or something. Like just by the culture being different, it would be enough that I could have not felt that weird shit. But to have Jerry playing those songs and Melvin, oh my God. Yeah. So Jerry Band, I remember hearing about that on tour as like the secret place to go where it's still family and still small, because there was a bunch of dope but a lot of heroin on Dead Tour in the 90s.
At that point, yeah.
And it turned out, I found out at these Dead and Company shows this couple years ago in San Francisco at Oracle Park, the ones that were called the last Dead and Company, that like all the kids I met a girl that did not remember me, that I'd traveled with, Gina, that I knew like well. We traveled in the same van together for a long time, and she didn't remember me, which I think I'm not that memorable, I guess. No, it's that her brain is fried, and everybody I asked her about is dead. And I was spending that time in a church trying to like be pleasing to God, and I guess that's better than being dead.
Yeah.
Because of what I have now does somehow feel like a reward for all that time, which doesn't even feel right, like it's not, but it's being in an incredible community of people in an incredible part of the country that, for like this West Coast snob, I found more than Oregon. Here I found home, and that was the thing that was the theme I woke up thinking about today, was like running around through a sleepwalking nightmare as a 10-year-old. I couldn't find home. Being 20 years old, that's what I was screaming to the angels that were guarding the door into the LA Sports Arena while all my friends were hanging out during Drums in Space, passing a big old snotty chillum, and I'm standing outside throwing my body against the doors, trying to prove to the angels that I belong inside heaven. Now it's become one of the parables of the New Testament, and I've been thrown into the outer darkness with weeping and gnashing of teeth as a punishment for being a selfish kid. Doing drugs, whatever the fuck that was. And what happened was I had taken more ecstasy that night than I ever had. I was taking it every day for a long time, and then we had a big break.
Day?
Yeah, I was just because in my time I didn't know the difference. I'm sure somebody did between indica and sativa, any qualities of different herbs. You know, we just knew kind bud and Mexican swag. And so it was like, we don't smoke swag, we smoke the kind bud. And so sometimes it would turn on me, sometimes it would be great. And I know now it was sativa straight to my head, and my head was not a very fun place to be. And so all those religious traumas would pop out in the form of, like, pipe would come around to me, I'd take a hit, and then I'd realize that all these people I'm with, who were my friends, you know, who I'm traveling, but I just didn't know them well. I didn't know anybody deeply because we were all kids on the road, you know, trying to find our home in each other. And so I was not really in a safe place a lot, just in my own understanding of who I was with. And so they were all evil. I was the little lost sheep. I was the good little Christian kid who was choosing to do bad things now, but eventually I knew I would eventually return to Jesus or return to home or something. Am I good on that?
Yeah, you're good.
And so that judgment, I didn't know it was judgment. I thought I was just terrified that all these people are evil and I chose to be among them and I need to get out of here. I mean, it showed up so many times in so many ways with me and psychedelics.
I grew up in the church too. I don't think I was influenced as much as you were, but I still even like when my friends started drinking and smoking in high school, I think I was probably the last one because I was afraid. I was like, God's going to see it, and like there's some repercussions is going to happen. And I don't know. Like, I felt like if I did something wrong, then like when something bad happened in like my earthly life, it was
there. It was. That's your punishment.
Yeah,
I knew it.
I was like, that's happened because I did this thing.
Right.
Which was a crazy thing for a 16-year-old to feel.
Yeah, for a 16-year-old who's being told that this is love somehow, that we're calling that love. Ultimately, I mean, you would go, well, but God, isn't God supposed to be love? And then, so love wants to punish me, and love wants to make me feel bad and shameful, and it just is like, it doesn't add up. Now
that I've never thought about this, but I got punished a lot as a kid. I was always a troublemaker. Yeah. But like I always got punished whenever I did anything. So I just was like, it was such a cause and effect to me. Like, misbehave, there will be a consequence.
Right.
And like if it wasn't like my parents, then like it was going to come from God.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy thing that I guess I've never really thought about it, like put it like that till right now.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah. And we don't even, well, you know, it's like the culture we are born into, the mental culture, the way we think, but it's like water to a fish. We don't know that. We don't even know. I mean, I remember actually having thoughts when I was probably between 10 and 14 of like, if I haven't experienced it, then it must not be real.
Yeah.
The fuck? What kind of, like, that's a, like, and that mind can actually go on into adults.
I think a lot of people still have that idea. That like, if it's not happening to them, it's not really happening.
Yeah, so then any kind of different way of thinking or seeing or experience is like always wrong. Suspect because it's not even, either they're full of shit.
I think it's a lack of empathy too.
And a lack of empathy. Yeah. Well, isn't that the biggest, what was empathy is the...
I know.
Did Musk say it was? No, he was talking about it.
He was like, it's the weakest human trait or something. Yeah, I did see him say that on Joe Rogan.
How is that? I mean, fucking crazy. Yeah. We have such a beautiful opportunity, like in this little community that we've, like, do you feel like you magically landed here?
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That was like our...
Well, what a beautiful... Can you believe all the people... I've got a bunch of pictures and videos of that. I actually listened...
I got a video of you dancing with the band playing. Too.
Well, I listened to... Now you'll find out I am a narcissist. I listened because I got to sing I Shall Be Released with everybody.
Okay.
And Alex is sitting there sitting on a chair in my living room shredding at me, which is when he's playing guitar in your own living room... Instead of on a stage, no. Well, I don't know. Feels more like more intense. Like it's not even possible. It feels like he's from some like planet of guitar elves or something. Like it was so amazing. And so to sit there and play with him, and so the song, my sister filmed, maybe 2 or 3 minutes of us playing. And I put it on. I had it on repeat on my phone because it loops back to where it just sounds like the song keeps playing. So I must have listened to it for like an hour, and and I was the main one singing. But it was so fun, and it's actually like that's a really free thing for me that I have, and I never had when I was younger. I had this crazy problem with music, with my sense of myself, where I would have been ashamed of myself by myself for enjoying watching a video of myself. So if I had, 10 years ago, if I had sat down and like watched this clip of myself singing and playing with somebody that I thought was really cool, I would have not been able to even do that alone because I would have felt like I was being
Vain.
Yeah. And instead of, but like,
It's okay to think that we do cool things.
because I think my friends are fucking cool, and if they think I'm cool, I should like trust their assessment of me. Like why would I not want to bring something awesome to these people that I love so much? And the best thing we have is our heart, right, and our own. Whew. What a gift! And whatever this time we're living in that feels so monumental and fucking crazy. The excitement I'm going through now is like, okay, what if it is just this little community of people in this little part of North Carolina where we've got music and mountains and water, and we came here, like that happened to us too. We were closing on a house during the hurricane, and it solidified our move here more. Yeah. Like even I was like, oh no, all the beautiful places might be destroyed, but this is where we're going to be now. Like it just felt home. I've got it. Like I was saying, that was that theme I was thinking of. Is I couldn't find home. I was trying to find home on Dead Tour. I found it somewhat in Grateful Dead community, but as a kid, I couldn't even receive that. I thought all the old hippies could read my mind, and I didn't want anyone to read my mind. And I didn't want, like, now I feel like I would love to just sure. I feel like I'm laying it out all the time. Like go ahead, you can see what's in there. I'm interested in it. You might be too. It's a weird thing, and so I'm like enjoying so much the process of. Like when I get somewhere in about 45, I think I was like, I like this. Getting older stuff is fun, man. Because if you add, this, Bob say, once a man and twice a child, and everything is just for a while. And then he says, seems like total destruction is the only solution. I don't know. But if we're talking about ourselves, right? Yeah, annihilate me. Let's just let that, whatever that part of me, let's annihilate that. And we've already I was a man for a little while. It wasn't that appealing. It wasn't, it's not that cool.
I still feel like I'm a kid.
Be a kid.
Yeah.
It's where the gift is. It's the only place.
That's what
there's no promise to like being, I don't know, what can you see in being an adult or in being like, besides being like emotionally mature and loving and giving and protecting and being able to make decisions but like being a kid is the best fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's it's the only depression in life is like, oh no, was that it? Did is it over? It's somewhere we're like, because now that we've had sex and done the cool adult stuff and drank, and done, like, is there any other cool thing?
Just pay your bills and go to work.
Fuck that, man. And people talk that way, and people actually think that. And you'll ask someone how they're doing, and they're like, same shit, different day.
Yeah. You can change that.
You can change that. And for me, I actually couldn't change it, but when I started smoking herb again, and the way the Christian people around me treated me as if I was worshiping this plant, and I'm like, well, maybe I am. Maybe this is God, because I've never, because I was so fixated on what is God, who is God, where is God, finding God, I couldn't see any magic in this world like me. Like I am very naturally like, God, I love pretty big and pretty wide when it comes to like the ocean and the trees and the visceral things of life, smells and like the skateboard wheels and like feeling the different textures of brick and gravel under my wheels and like every fucking thing. It's so incredible to be alive, right? And religion killed that in me. Fuck that shit, you know? And I actually heard this voice come up and say, this was weird. This was during this time. So I'm here. You asked me a question. I actually want to get back to it.
Okay.
You said, when did that change?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how you edit this shit together, but two more things. One was that voice that I'm about to tell you about when I first heard it said, you've been fucked by Christianity. And I said, what? Like I heard it. You've been fucked by Christianity. I said, what? And then this acronym, which I don't know if it's real, but I had heard this acronym, so it worked for me as this message. Fornication under consent of king. F-U-C-K, right?
Okay.
That was the idea when breeding out the Scottish, like in Braveheart, was that the British would come in and take the bride, and the king says, you can have this bride before the wedding day, and so you're breeding, the fornication is the king gave consent for that.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So I hear, you've been fucked by Christianity. Or was it by the church? I think it was, you've been fucked by the church. Is the voice. I'm like, whoa. Like, what was that? And I fornication under consent of king. And I go, and then that voice is like, what king?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And it just, and the way like, and it sounds maybe crazy, but it was also really psychedelic. But it was also, I was smoking Erbigan for the first time in 16 years, and it was sour diesel, and it was really potent. And I would just take a couple hits,
Way
and
better
then
weed
boom.
than it was 16 years ago.
Yeah. Well, maybe, but I think also I was just sensitive enough and had no tolerance, and then a buddy of mine brought like 20 garbage bags full into north central Kansas of all this Humboldt trim, and we started making gallons of olive oil, and we're just drinking all. So I'm in this little town in north central Kansas, painting houses, little Christian community, drinking tons of olive oil, and then going into people's houses and like blah, 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 talking about all the shit that I'm like, because I'm getting broken apart, And I would overdose everybody, I'd say, oh, just take a little swallow, it'll be fine. They'd come back like, what did you? I've been tripping. It was very trippy. Like
I would imagine.
Yeah. You can trip on ganja food. I mean, you just got to drink a lot of it and have the right strain.
I think it just makes me fall asleep.
No, right strain. So if you had, I had a bunch of sour diesel, Durban poison, any kind of, any sativa strain in ganja food does not make you fall asleep because it peps you up, right?
Okay.
Unless you're opposite maybe but if you find the strain that gives you a creative jolt when you smoke it, you cook that shit and drink a bunch of it, tripping, like different tripping than it's like, it's not as clear. It's a little foggy and fucking weird, but it's tripping for sure. So I'm smoking, I'm in a basement in Kansas. I was listening to these Hindi, these guys playing, and it was like on sitar and tabla and bass and drums, like kind of like a fusion Hindi rock band kind of thing. And they're actually singing like Christian praise songs, but they're doing it in Hindi, so I can't hear the words, like the lyrics aren't fucking with me. And I'm having this time, because at the time I would smoke, and I would try to protect my inner self. Like I'd get high and go, okay, I know this is I'm gonna fall apart. I need to, because I was like actively trying to break out of my Christian box, It was very hard because all this stuff is attached to like sense of self and worth and identity and so like I alluded to earlier, I'd had my best friend was my dad as a kid, and probably the most, like talking about psychedelic experiences, camping with him up in the Cascade Mountains, these little fishing lakes he would like to go to, and he and I alone, 5 to 9 years old, probably like just sitting on my dad's lap, staring into a fire up in the high mountains and not speaking and just staring into this fire was probably the most, the most precious things to me as a kid. And I lost it, and I didn't know how to get it back. I couldn't talk about it. My mom said I didn't have to take his calls when he called, so I didn't because it was too difficult, to feel all that. And and then, he had an affair. He had married the woman that he had an affair with. Okay. Told me when I was 13 about it, with the chair in front of the door as my mom's trying to break the door down. I'm 13 years old, found out in one day, one fell swoop. I walk down the stairs. My mom says, "Your father's leaving us." Drops the laundry, hugs me. I call my dad, "Get home. You've got to tell me, you have some explaining to do," and he comes home and ended up putting a chair in front of my door so my mom couldn't come in and trying to tell me in rapid fire, defend himself for all of the reasons that this was happening, because I think he thought he was not going to see me again or something. But told me all about his addiction to pornography in the through the 1950s and 60s. And he was a kid who thought when he needed glasses, he was going blind because of jerking off, and then he thought he was going to grow hair on the palms of his hands. And he was a 1950s kid in a Christian culture.
They had porn back then?
Magazines, so you'd have to get it through some kind of very, seedy way. However, he acquired this stuff, every bit about it. Everything was shame, shame, shame. And then he became a pastor, and he was trying to, he was trying, everything he was doing was trying to break off this vile thing about himself that he couldn't accept and that he couldn't deal with. And now I'm like, oh God, am I also now I'm the son of some disgusting perverted person that jacks off and looks at, I'm so, and I remember I was actually sitting there now knowing what this feeling is of being just like ringing. Wow, 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 with trauma. And there was a picture on a newspaper beside my bed at 13. I can still see it in my mind's eye right now. And it was a side column on the newspaper, and it said "seduced" and had a picture of a woman's face. I have no idea what this was about. It was some column in the paper. For like a year, that was the face of my stepmom. That was the woman he had an affair with. And I was just staring at this picture, seduced. My mom's banging on the door, trying to get in. He's telling me, all this, just like, oh my God, my dad's some terrible dude, and I'm the son of him, and our family's all falling apart, and they're gone, and it just went. And I heard from my cousin, "Winston's will kill you the fastest." So I remember we had recently moved to Tampa, Florida, and I sat and smoked a whole pack of Winston's one night, sitting on my skateboard, making a spit puddle the size of a lake, hoping I would die that night, just die. So it gets better, and to know, God, I want to, there's so many things I want to do. I'm a house painter. I don't want to be a house painter. I've tried to make meaning out of that for a long time. I want to take skateboarding and music and make some tapestry of love to catch these kids in, that are going through so many of that stuff, so much of what I went through when I was young, just not having someone there to say, dude, you don't see it right now. We see it. You're really incredible.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take much, just having a community of people around, because there's always somebody that can see the beauty in someone, So I'm down in this basement. I'd taken a little puff. I'm like finding this wonderful thing of like, oh, I can smoke pot and not feel bad about myself and not think. And so I'm down here. I'm painting these baseboards. There's nobody in the house because they didn't live there. They only came during K-State games. And so I knew I was alone. I knew there was a bunch of snow outside. No one was going to be coming to visit me. I was high in a basement in Kansas, having so much fun. I'm 36 years old. I'm having so much fun. And I'm painting. I'm doing what I've been doing for 30 years. And I'm like having a blast. And I say out loud, I go, I have headphones on. I said, why am I having so much fun? And actually, and about a week or so, maybe a month before that, my dad and I had decided, like, I said, Dad, we should just talk now, because I had let go of all this religious obligation. I was like, Dad, we don't talk enough. We should, like, why don't we talk once a week or something? And he, like, boom, he started calling me every day. Like every day he'd call and we'd be talking. And so we're having this kind of fun, easy friendship, right? My dad and I. So I say out loud, why am I having so much fun? And this is when it happened. And I hear with like I thought I was hearing with my ears. I don't know what this was. Because you're receiving your dad as a gift. And I go, because I wasn't asking a question to anybody.
Yeah.
I was just like, why am I having so much fun? Because you're receiving your dad as a gift. I'm like on my knees already painting. I just fell over and I'm like, and I like look up because I've been trying to like hear God for
36 years.
well, all my life.
Yeah.
And especially since I was 20 and thinking that was my job, was to find out who God is and to hear God and to do God. And I hear this. You're receiving your dad as a gift. I said, what? Again, out loud. And this voice says verbatim, but these are the words. You have known your dad after sin, shame, pain, failure, but he's the perfect dad for you, and he's precious to me. That's what I heard. And I went, I sat there humming, buzzing, sobbing. And I still, I'm like, at the time I was like, very, like, this is the God, this is the voice of the God of the Bible that I've been trying to hear, that I wasn't able to hear because I was so caught in this judgment of this man that had hurt me so deeply that I didn't, how do I forgive that? You know, and it wasn't, and I tried for a long time. Like, forgiveness is kind of the high pinnacle of the Christian ideal, right? That's the whole point, is like this guy's hanging on a cross saying, I forgive them. That's the point. And I couldn't do it. I had no ability to forgive the big shit ever. And so something had happened where I just had loosened up. I let go of all that religious shit or was letting go of it, and was able to just talk to my dad for the joy of it. And now this voice is telling the psychiatrists among us can figure that out, I guess. But yeah, it was, what's the difference? I don't care anymore. I don't care.
Yeah.
God, me, I don't care. If I can live in the way that I would want God, a concept of God, if I can live that, if I can do that and like decide that's fun. I want to be like what I imagine God, or what I want God to be. We'd have a pretty fucking amazing place, right?
I think so.
I mean, that's the concept. That's what namaste means. Is the divine in me sees that, sees the divine, like sees the divine in you. I see you are so fucking incredible, so full of potential, and you're doing something like just by asking people to come hang on your couch and talk, and it does something because it's the truth. It's the little ripples and the little stuff we do, but it comes out of, because each one of us are such a vast sea of experience and of dreams and of hopes. Like, whoa, we start valuing ourselves, then we go, oh, look at the other ones. Yeah, like they got all that too. Yeah. Oh fuck! If I'm this complex and nuanced and whatever, then how much more? Yeah. Oh boy. So yeah. So I started smoking, and so I was like, oh, this is coming from getting high. Well, then I'll get as high as I can, and stay that way as much as I can, as much as possible.
You never get like any anxiety or anything from weed?
So my concept when I came back to it was, oh yeah, this is what was happening to me when I was a teenager. I couldn't smoke anymore. That was the first sign, and I'm not trying to make some rule over other people's minds with that, but for me, that was the first sign that I wasn't okay. And that was kind of the consensus of my friends was like, oh, you can't get high? What's wrong with you? What do you mean what's wrong? Well, what's wrong with, there's something that I trip over or that I can't accept about myself or about the situation. Good kid, he looks pretty comfy. Sorry, dude, shouldn't have said your name. And so that was the case. I would smoke, and my anxiety would not be really general. It was kind of specific anxiety. You know, am I gay? That was the big one when I was like a teenager. I'd get high and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gay. Well, that was for the 80s. That's like
the worst thing.
That's the worst thing you could be.
Yeah.
Everybody called each other that. And so I would have to work. It took me years to go, oh, I'm not attracted to men. That's like the main component of being gay would be being attracted to men.
Like the only component of being gay.
But I thought like everything about being like a non-conforming.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, you're gay, I guess. So that's like.
Especially hanging out in the skate crowd. You were in the skate crowd. They're all calling each other gay.
Well, I heard a really funny joke the other day. It was like, what's the hardest part about being a skateboarder? Coming out to your parents. Which is a football player's joke, of course. So no, that shit, every kind of sexual insecurity, every kind of personality insecurity, every kind of insecurity would pop up to me when I was young, and that was why, smoking wasn't okay then. And then that worked out great for being in the Christian world. They were like, you can't do any of those things that bring about any deeper questions, or cause you to think. So we got home. It was here. We came here, and.
Only a year ago, right?
1 year ago.
Yeah.
And I started going out to Jerry's Dead and to the Family Band kind of at the same time. So there's a Tuesday night and a Thursday night.
I still have not been to the Family Band.
Oh, it's fun.
Tuesdays, I feel like we always lay low.
Okay, you got to find some
one of these
to
days
recover
we'll go out there.
you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, we took an off day yesterday too. I was like, we got a long day tomorrow. I had a game at 8 in the morning. I was like, let's take it easy today.
And how long have you been playing? Is soccer your lifetime?
Yeah, I've been playing since I was like 5. And then when I got to college, I just didn't really play in college. I did like intramurals and stuff, but I think I was just kind of like gassed a little bit from playing my whole life. And then when I got out of college, I was like, I need a way to like meet people and stay kind of active. So I started playing again, and then I coached for a little bit too.
Nice.
And that was really fun. I really enjoyed that in Florida. And then just started again last week.
Okay, it's only been a week because I was telling Christy on the way over here.
Or I guess
I'm so glad you guys
I did
found-
play like an indoor league in the winter for a little bit, but I was not on the best team.
Okay.
And it was kind of frustrating. But I got recruited to be on a better team now, so my team's good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. All about your age?
Yeah, it's under, you can't be over 40 in it, so I think there's
be over
another
40.
league that has like a bunch of fresh college kids, and I'm like, I don't need to be playing in that one. But we are coming up on our time. We got Sons of Stars soon.
Okay, first acid trip in Ybor City. Did you want to hear that?
I was going to say, yeah, this has been a pretty
Come
heavy
back to it.
episode.
I know.
Let's finish on something funny and light. Let's hear that
Funny
one.
and light. No, is that funny and light? Oh, shit.
Is it not?
Well, yes, it's fun. at the
Okay.
end. Okay. So I had been trying to trip, just like I had been trying to go to Dead shows. I've been trying for a long time. You know, not yet. This acid was first. There's a book called Go Ask Alice that was required reading in 8th grade, and it was supposed to be, and it turns out it was a Mormon woman that wrote this book who had never done any drugs or anything. This was a Reagan war on drugs propaganda book called Go Ask Alice. Check it out. It's really fucking weird because it's written like a diary from this girl in the early 70s. Well, it describes her first acid trip. She can see music rolling in the window. You know, the newscaster starts speaking a different language on TV, like all this stuff. I'm like, I have to fucking do that. I have to do that.
So it didn't work. The propaganda.
No, the propaganda. And she dies at the end. In the book, like, nothing is true about it. Like, her friends come and kill her. Like, they dose her peanuts while she's babysitting, and she ends up in a closet and they kill her or something. And like, you're supposed to really deter kids from doing drugs. Like, you describe an LSD trip like that. So I would read about Albert Hoffman and read about LSD and in the library at the school. That's, you know, you could find a little bit. That's it. And So I was working in a restaurant, and one of the kitchen staff, she came and she's like, I've got this white blotter in Tampa, in North. It was in Carrollwood area.
Okay.
At a Wildwood restaurant, first restaurant I worked in. So I was washing dishes. My buddy Ryan Clements was a cook there, and so she says, "Hey, I've got this acid." I'm like, "Yes." So I tried a few times and always got bunk stuff, So So I take this paper. Did I knock that out? Good. And we get in Ryan's truck and we're heading down to Ybor City for the Guavaween parade.
Okay.
So Guavaween is the Halloween guava, is a fruit. And so Guavaween, and I didn't know what we were going to. And I'm 15 years old, and I've taken a tab of acid, and I'm staring at the windshield of my friend Ryan's truck, a little crack in the windshield, and I'm wondering if this is it. Am I feeling it? Is this it? I'm looking at the window crack and like things look kind of pretty. And he's like, "Are you feeling it? Are you feeling it?" And it's just me, And so we meet up with the rest of our friends, all a bunch of like skate punk kids. And so we're all down now on the main street, whatever avenue, 7th Avenue. Yeah. The parade's going by, and I'm sitting on in my memory, it's a yellow and green fire hydrant that matched my Oregon Ducks yellow and green baseball cap. Okay. And I'm sitting on this fire hydrant like a few feet from them. They're all like on the curb watching the parade, throwing stuff, making a ruckus, like yelling at floats. They're drinking, they're drunk. I'm not drinking, and I've taken this acid, but I didn't think it worked, because I didn't see anything in the windshield. And now I'm like, oh boy. Like this, I don't know if we should be here. I'm just like, I don't know. And I'm like, I'm asking, are you guys scared? Do you think you feel comfortable? Because it's a Halloween parade, and I'm like a little concerned about all the costumes and the parades. And are you guys scared? And I'm like, oh boy. So I remember,
what are you, gay?
Yeah, what are you, gay or something? You're scared on a fire. And I take off my baseball cap, my little Oregon Ducks cap, and my head was smaller than this microphone. My head was so tiny. I felt my head with both hands. Oh no. And I put my hat back on, and now I'm like, oh, and I'm melting. My body is melting into the fire hydrant. Oh no. And right about that time, he was hunchbacked street guy who's making a big ruckus with a cop. And he's yelling at her. He says, "The streets belong to us tonight!" Screaming at this cop. And he grabs onto my body as a handle to get up the tall curb, those big tall curbs in Ybor, and pulls me off the fire hydrant. So I wasn't actually glued to it. And that kind of sets me off into like, oh shit. And everybody's like pirates and crazy, And so I'm just kind of uncomfortable for the rest of the parade, which felt like not very long. We drive home. I had no idea about how acid worked or how this stuff flowed in.
12 hours later.
So my friend Nicky, we get back to his apartment, and I'm like, oh, good. This is better. I'm like, what should we do? And he's like, I'm going to bed. I'm like, wah, wah, I'm not going to go to bed. Can I stay out here in your car? Yeah. Can I stay in your car? He says, yeah. So he's got this old Dodge Colt. So I stayed in the front of the car, and I had a pack of Camel filters, and I lit one, and I thought I'd just smoke a cigarette and then go to bed. So I light a cigarette, and I looked at it, and the cherry of the cigarette was quite a bit larger than your microphone, as my head had gotten so quite a bit larger, like it maybe as big as this table. The cherry was massive, and I was 15, and I lit it and looked at the tip, and I'd watch it and just burn all the way down. It was gargoyles and castles and the most crazy, like very heavy metal looking kind of scenery in this cigarette, and it would burn all the way down. I'd light another one, take a drag, watch it burn. And I did this with maybe 20 cigarettes, maybe, half a pack. And then I thought it was time to go to bed. So I laid down in the back of Nikki's car, and I'm in the back seat. And as I'm laying there, I hear it come in. And this music is coming in like and there's these faces floating over me,
just like the book.
Yeah, but it wasn't like the book. And they're like it was kind of my imagination of some of the faces during the Halloween costumes. But these faces like float over my body, and I'm laying in the back seat with my eyes closed, and then they open their mouth up, and water like drips out of their mouth and hits my body. And when it hits my body, that's the sound of it's the ripple of this water coming out of the mouth, hits my body and goes boom, 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 boom. Like and it was incredible. And it went with the ripples, you know. And this was happening, I don't know how long. When it stopped, I am weeping. I'm laying there sobbing because I want to make the music come back. It was so beautiful. And I found I could turn my eyes up to the left and to the up and to the left. And it was, and I could open this channel up, and the music would come back in. Blah, blah, blah. And so I don't know. Sun's now risen. At some point, Nicky gets up and he's driving me back through Carrollwood winding streets, you know, back to my stepdad's house. And I am 15, and I'm like, I'm relating stuff to Adam and Eve. I remember talking about and so something about being like the first human, and my feeling was like I was the first human on the world, in the earth, you know, and talking to Nicky about this, and looking back, it's like, oh, that was that wonderful afterglow, you know, of an acid trip. But I didn't have anybody that I didn't trip with anyone else.
Yeah, that's a crazy experience, a solo experience at 15. That's crazy.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was a high bar, you know, and so I did trip very visually and very auditorily. I mean, I always have had a lot with my trips.
I relate to though when you said like trying to find that sound again. I feel like there's been times where I've been tripping and like I see something and I'm like, how can I get in the same spot to see it again?
Well, so I had a drug counselor that told me there's something to do with an auditory channel or something. Like he said, oh yeah, that's, you know, like when you're trying to recall a memory, you may turn your eyes up and kind of think,
okay,
you know, like, I can't remember, like that's like a way to somehow recall things. I don't know if that's true or not, but I did not claim to be a neuroscientist.
Well, we did it, Steven.
Did we do it?
It's
Are we
1:45.
Done? Shit.
So Christy's going to be here soon, right?
Well, I don't care if we record this or not, but I feel like we should do many more hours because I didn't get to any of these stories. I didn't even get into any of them. I just talked. I just ADHD'd myself all over the place, all over the map, with some tears sprinkled in.
It was nice, though. All right, we'll sign off here.
That was fun. Thank you.
That was legitness. Yeah, it was. Huh?
Welcome back to all you troopers who stayed there for the whole Steven interview. I know it was a long one, but he's the man. Wanted to do a story that, you know, just wasn't about how you learn, who taught you how to play guitar and all that good stuff. So, fun interview with Steven, but now we have Chloe's Corner.
Bum ba da bum, brought to you this week by Cherry Limeade Devil's Foot.
Yes.
Beautiful. My first time trying that one. We like it. Do you want a sip?
Sure. Yeah, going forward, Chloe's Corner will now be sponsored by our great sponsor, Devil's Foot Beverage.
Shout out to you guys. We adore you. So this week, we are going short segment. Just because, I know it's nice, huh? Just because Steven is a sweet, sweet talker. We adore him. Bit of a shorter Chloe's Corner, but we are going to talk drama. Specifically, our avian friends, Goose.
They fired another drummer.
But they can't keep him. Can't keep him. Also, everything is speculation.
All allegations.
All allegations so far. And on Chloe's Corner, we do not fact check. So everything is with a grain of salt.
Yeah, good.
Just forewarning.
Good forewarning.
There was probably something that I said recently in a Chloe's Corner that I was like,
I think it was your made-up Charlie Crockett lore.
Oh, yeah, I did. I made up Charlie Crockett lore. I don't fact check anything. I get an idea in my head, and like everything else in this world, I run with it and make it up as I go. But Goose drama. Okay, so we're down another drummer. I saw Goose for the first and only time at Halloween 2 years ago, 2023, and they were a big flop for me. It was right before they got rid of their first drummer, initial drummer. I don't know how many down the line they are, but that initial drummer, It was right before they got rid of him. Vibes were not there. They played a kind of doo-doo set.
Snooze fest.
We are actively trying to give Goose another shot, and they just can't let it happen. We were like jinxing it because now they're down another one. I just feel like they love drama. There is a lot of like back and forth posting, a lot of black screens with white text.
Dude, the drummer said he was like he called the band the organization.
Yeah, in quotes, he didn't want to return to the organization. I took a couple of little notes. Let me see. That was crazy. And then I guess Goose wanted him to sign an NDA, but why would he need to sign an NDA if it's something that he did?
I'm trying to get a Goose head on here to go over the allegations.
Goose head, help us figure it out. And then like they didn't even tell Mr. Jeff in person either. It was over an email that they let him go. He like went to therapy for a month or something.
Yeah, because he stopped touring with the band in like February.
Beginning of February, and then came back to an email that was like, oh, I think we have to part ways. And then everything's unfolded since there. I have not dug for any evidence, quote unquote, proof.
If he didn't do anything, or either way, or if he didn't do anything, which I think like the way he replied,
makes it sound weird, right?
Yeah, like he's like almost playing like he's a victim.
Yeah, which I don't fuck with. If
he didn't do anything,
he's talking to minors, guys, people are old enough these days.
Yeah, I don't get the whole. I don't get it.
You don't have to go to kids.
Yeah,
you don't gotta do it, dude. There are some young-looking 20-something-year-olds. Just find your fill. Don't go to kids.
I think it's a power thing, honestly.
Yeah, like like a businessman and a new person kind of vibe.
No, I just think like I don't know, like it's like incomprehensible to me to be attracted to like not to even be attracted on it, but to be attracted and then act on it. That is
I feel like
insane.
As I get older, my like view on people anywhere younger than me is immediately like gone. I don't like.
He's also a drummer in like a big.
You can get anyone, dude. You're pretty famous. You were gonna be if you maybe didn't send messages. If you did or didn't do that.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a bombshell from one of the sides, but the confidence of him to like drop that letter that he wrote, take no accountability for anything.
Yeah, not address.
Kind of just deflect all of it back onto them. It makes me feel like maybe it was just something insignificant that they didn't align on, or like, because he did say he was like, I want to have more of a songwriting.
Yeah, he wanted to be more involved in the songwriting and like that side of things. And I guess as a drummer in a big band that's already established, you definitely don't get a say. But yeah, who knows? We will wait as the drama unfolds.
I just feel like that band is like, they just need to make a reality show. They're just.
It's all just drama. The note that I have for Chloe's Corner is just Goose Heart's drama. Like, it's just something new every time.
They just released So Ready again. That's the studio version.
Dude, just sing your hits. That's all. That's all I want.
Do a jam that goes somewhere. Like, this is all again from the Halloween show. When I first saw them in like 2022, I was like, these guys are fucking rippers. I love them.
And I do like their hits.
Yeah, the studio stuff is far better.
Yeah.
But that's just because I think they're like, I like Hot Tea. Hot Tea is a good one.
I like
So Ready's a good one. Wisteria Lane. I fucking hate the Pancakes one.
Dude. Ugh.
I guess I'm a very Goose casual though. Like I don't know a ton about them.
Yeah, we're not Goose aficionados. Whereas our dear friend Dustin, he will die on the hill that Goose is one of the greatest bands. I just need my eye opened. I need my avian eye opened. Is it avian? I've said that twice now.
Avian is birds. So like that would relate to Goose, but I don't know. Your avian eye?
I need my bird eye, my goose eye. I need my goose eye opened.
Goose eye.
Yeah.
That sounds like a slang term like a kid would say. It's inappropriate.
That could have so many different meanings. Oh, guys, my garden died.
Is it already dead?
Kermit the Frog.
I had a bubble stuck in my throat. I sound like Patrick Mahomes.
So that was probably loud. How I left that.
Not
into it.
that bad.
So my snapdragons are doing okay. My daisies are pretty dead. My pansies are okay.
You're a pansy.
At least I'm okay. We had unexpected frost. I got too excited for spring. I
So is
haven't
it done?
had spring.
You can't bring them back to life or anything now?
Well, I'm just gonna wait it out. They'll come back, right?
Yeah. Nature heals,
Exactly. One thing dies, another rebirths. None of my
Probably not, because that damn dog's been stomping all over it.
I was gonna say I had a corn sprout. I had a fairly decent corn sprout. And I have the burps now. And fucking kid jumped all over it, and I was pummeled into the ground.
Sounds about right for that dog.
Because I didn't get the chicken wire.
You wouldn't be able to get back in.
No, I would have been trapped, but at least trapped inside or outside. It depends on what. I was high when I gardened, so I might have been trapped inside. I picture you like coming home 3 hours later. I'm inside the chicken wire.
I wouldn't be the craziest thing you've done.
No, it wouldn't be.
You got anything else?
Quick thinks.
Do I have anything today?
I know, I was very unprepared for this week's.
It's okay. We had a long interview, so.
What did we do this weekend? We saw Sons of Stars again.
I saw Sons of Stars. I saw Fruit on Friday.
You did see Fruit, and
I
you said
lost
they
a
were
bunch
good.
of money
Yeah?
from college March Madness.
Basketball's not your thing, baby. I don't
No.
know why you're... I love you, baby. I don't know why you were so insistent on betting. You don't follow basketball.
But it's fun. And March Madness is fun to watch.
March Madness is fun. How many games have you watched?
I watched a bunch of
You
them.
watched all of them this weekend,
Yeah.
I guess.
It was like 30.
And what was your bet percentage?
Like 30% maybe. Maybe 20. I think I was like 8 and 19. I don't even know if I was that good, honestly.
That's like a 33%, right? 30, 40.
8 out of 27 is like...
80 out of 27?
That's
What?
probably like 8 out of... I got 8
8 out of 27?
That's like 30%.
I thought you said
probably.
8 out of 16. I was like, that's a little less than half. That's good.
Nah, I did bad.
8 out of 27.
Yeah, I got
Hey, you
burned.
might want to hang your hat, buddy.
Yeah, I didn't bet on any games Sunday.
Football season will come back.
Tanner texted me and he was like, "What do we take today?" And I was like, "I give up." I was like, "I'm not betting
Nothing.
anything
We are
today."
taking nothing. We are taking Kobe Bryant.
R.I.P.
That's pretty much all
But yeah,
I
Fruit.
have.
I did Fruit Friday. We chilled Saturday, and then Sons of Stars Sunday. Yeah, that was it.
Nice little low-key weekend.
Needed it. The last few weekends have been so busy.
Oh my goodness, yeah, we've been little traveling bugs.
Yeah.
I think since Daniel Donato, I'm finally coming back to life, but I've been like pretty dead
Yeah.
after that weekend. I think we just are like, go, 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 go.
But
Like,
the
I haven't
weather's
done the
getting
laundry
nice.
in 2 weeks.
The weather's getting nice. It's like hard not
It
to go do
is.
things.
It is. Oh,
We're about to go to a show right now.
that's all for me, baby.
Alrighty. Well, that's it, guys. If you're still here, kudos to you. Yeah. Have a great weekend. And remember, wherever you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be.
Come along, have a drink with me. We can talk about the world and how the world it turns so slow. Oh, oh. Day and night I found cars they drive and planes they fly. I look into the sun and the sky, you're so bright. It's you that I have found. Oh, and I know it's not much longer now. Or if the world would just slow down. The moon and the stars, they can sail across the sky, and I could watch you dance all through the night. When the rhythm is right. Oh, and I know the sun is rising. oh.